Prior to the 2020 season, teams were able to keep 10 players on their practice squad while they could not play in any games unless promoted to the 53-man team. The practice squad does serve a purpose. It's essentially a second roster to develop younger players, and it also gives teams an additional group of players to help prepare for an upcoming opponent in practice during the regular season. While Las Vegas Raiders and the league's other clubs can add 16 players to their practice squad, this year, there are still some rules in place that limit who could be added. Article 33 in Section 4 of the CBA explains who is eligible to join the practice squad. This is a lot of information to dissect. Let me start with the basics, though. Accrued seasons per the CBA itself gets a player awarded a accrued season, each one during which he was on or should have been on a full pay status for a total of 6 or more regular season games. This does not include games spent on the 53-man roster or on injured reserve and PUP list, but neither covers the non-football injury list, the NFI, nor practice squad itself. Basically speaking, only lower level players are not certain to collect accrued seasons each year. From practice squad to perspectives, the different levels of eligibility change based on how many accrued seasons a player has. A noted exception above is a team could carry as many players as it wants, up to 16 this year, that have fewer than 2 seasons on their respective resume. So what is poaching, you ask? The NFL allows other teams to sign people from your practice squad. But there are some rules governing this process, you guys. Players cannot be signed directly from one practice squad to the next. So what kind of has to happen is if they do that, they have to go and they have to make sure that they release somebody and add that person from said practice squad to their 53-man active roster, right? And then also, practice squad players are not allowed to sign with upcoming opponents. So there has to be a 6-day window in between the time you play that team to when they sign with the other team. And if it's a bye week, I think it's like 10 days, right? And if a practice squad player is signed by another team, he receives like a 3-week salary that will be guaranteed those 3 weeks, even if the team releases the guy and he doesn't even play. So if he's released, it still counts, and it counts against the salary cap. Now you're gonna ask me something in the next clip. What if a team promotes its own practice squad player? And we're gonna get into that in a second. So, if a team signs a player and promotes a player to their own roster, how does that work? Now, I'm going to read some of this off of the NFL's website. Shout out to the NFL. And one of the biggest changes that I see to the new CBA is the CBA as it relates to this practice, man, of the promotion of the active roster. I think a lot of this stuff was put into play because of the pandemic and because of the guys being out, so they had to add more people, and also them adding a 17th game to the roster. But let me get this off of the NFL. So practice squad members can be promoted by replacing other players in the 53-man squad. They can only return after being waived and clearing waivers. So if you have a guy that's valuable on your active roster or your practice squad roster, you don't want to keep playing this game of switching them and promoting them and bringing them back down, because you could probably lose the guy to another team, right? And they must be paid their weekly salary on the NFL minimum for at least 3 weeks. And that's what the deal is. So essentially, teams are allowed to elevate up to 2 players per week from their practice squad to the game day roster without having to cut a member of the 53-man team. But accordingly, teams can increase from their standard 53 to 55 players, while game day active squads expand from a previous 46 to 47 players, or even 48 if a team carries 8 offensive linemen. Any practice squad player can be elevated and automatically revert back to his developmental roster after a game. But there are some catches to that, though. You know what I mean? And I've seen this happen with a lot of teams. And teams cannot use this method of promotion on the same year more than twice, like I said. So that's something you got to consider. And, you know, you want to have your own practice squad players on, you know, readily available to you just in case you have a major injury. So you don't want to play this game where you're going back and forth, bringing a guy up, and then you release a guy you probably didn't want to. So, you know, the good thing about this is, man, is that, you know, we kind of have a clear understanding of what's going to happen. The cuts are coming up today, 4 p.m. We're going to get down to a 53-man active roster. There are going to be some guys for the first time in a long time on this Raider team that we're going to look at and we're going to say, man, I wish we kept that guy. A lot of times when we look at what goes on here with the Raiders over the last 15, 20 years, man, you know, you could kind of draw up who was going to be cut, and it wasn't like you were too terribly saddened by who left. But to this year, there are going to be some guys that we're going to want to keep. And there are other teams are watching our roster, and they're seeing that we got a good roster. Also, we're going to keep some eyes out for who's going to be out there and available from other teams that could possibly benefit us. So, look, man, you guys, stay tuned. We're going to be going live a little later, man. Raider Nation Unlimited. And, you know, be noted, man, every player is theoretically eligible for the practice squad if the circumstances allow him to be added. And you know what I mean? There's going to be loads and loads of players out there, man, and there are going to be loads of opportunity to improve this roster based off of people that aren't even in this building previous to now. So, listen, guys. If you like what you saw in this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's your brother Wasted, Getting Wasted. If you have any comments, concerns, or you want to argue with me in the comments, man, leave your comments. I always respond, man. Appreciate every single last one of y'all, man. Make sure I hit that subscribe button. And also on the way out, hit that like too, man. It helps out the algorithm. And I will see you guys later on Raider Nation Unlimited going live, man. I will see you guys later. Regardless of how many games they've been on a game day roster. So how much does a practice player get paid?